It's now with very great pleasure that I invite our Honorary doctorate, Professor Robert Wade, to give today's graduation address.
So first of all, doff my hat to you. So first of all, let me say I'm very honored to receive this honorary doctorate, not just for myself, but also for my family. My family has had a long, long connection with this university. Both my sisters went here, and both my parents were students here. And my first professional employment, as distinct from sweeping the streets of Wellington and working on the wharves, was here at Victoria as a lecturer in the economics department. So I want to thank three people in particular for making it all happen. One is Provost Wendy Lana, the second one is Professor Girol Karakaglu, and the third one is Ellen Walden Kidd. She is the senior advisor in the alumni and engagement team. You would not believe how much effort she has put into the logistics of getting me to stand at this point. So many thanks. I'm tempted now to follow the example of Winston Churchill, who was invited to give a speech at Harrow School near London in 1941 at the height of the Second World War, when the German Air Force was bombing London to bits. He stood up to address the assembled boys of Harrow School, and he said 3 words. He said, "Never give in," and sat down. That was his speech. However, rather than sit down right away, I want to say something which takes off from a comment that the Chancellor made about machine learning, AI, GPT, the tech revolution that we are now living through, which is occurring at exponential or double exponential speed, and its implications for university graduates, including you. The effects are coming at us faster and more disruptively than the effects of the last technological revolution, which was the computer revolution beginning around about 1980. On the AI revolution, you will know that Geoffrey Hinton, who is identified as the godfather of AI, recently resigned from Google to dedicate himself to warning about what he calls the existential threat posed by AI, saying, and this is a quote, "I used to think that it, namely the existential threat, was a long way off, but now I think it's serious and it's fairly soon." So we know all about these dangers, at least in a general sense, and you will know too, we know, how AI is already affecting education, as in exams and essays. But I want to talk at a short length about potential good news. And the good news is that it is at least possible that the AI revolution might bring some real benefits in the labor market by reducing the present high level of job polarization and income polarization in Western societies, including Aotearoa, New Zealand. So let me explain. The computer revolution that started 4 decades ago in the early 1980s brought economic benefits disproportionately to the university-educated elite of professionals, knowledge workers like doctors, lawyers, engineers, Wall Street executives, corporate managers, not forgetting, of course, university professors. We were the ones that benefited disproportionately. Meanwhile, as computers spread, many middle-skill workers who had been able to live a middle-class lifestyle, but without a university degree, lost their jobs to the computers and were displaced downwards into lower-skilled jobs and lower-skilled incomes. And the result was a polarization in the labor market, a shrinking of the middle class, and a big, big rise in inequality of income and wealth. In Aotearoa, New Zealand now, the top 1% in the wealth distribution own around 25% of the national wealth, which is similar to Australia. Of course, that's a relatively low share compared to the top 1% in the United States, which is now around about 35%, if you can believe that. People who found themselves left behind on lower and more insecure incomes, on 0 hours contracts, for example, tended to become angry, depressed, fearful, resentful, ashamed, humiliated. Polling evidence on people's life satisfaction shows a big increase in the share of national populations feeling dissatisfied with their lives. Just as an example, dissatisfied with their lives in the past 2 decades in particular, the CEO of Gallup polling organization, John Clifton, has recently published a book with the telling title, Blind Spot. The subtitle is The Global Rise of Unhappiness and How Leaders Missed It, how leaders missed the global rise in unhappiness. Many who saw themselves as left behind started to support the politicians who presented themselves as savior, capital S, savior figures who railed against elites, even though they were elite themselves, who railed against elites and promised their supporters they would shut the borders and make the country great again. This is at least a large part of the story behind Trump and Boris Johnson and Brexit, and the intense political polarization and partisanship in most Western societies. And it's also, in large part, the story behind the rising frequency of social and health dysfunctions reported by analysts such as Richard Wilkinson and Kate Pickett in their book, The Spirit Level, and by Angus Deaton and Anne Case in their book, Deaths of Despair. The potential good news is that this current AI tech revolution could bring larger economic benefits to lower skilled people than to the college-educated elite, and thereby help to rebuild the middle class. There is already some fairly good empirical evidence that lower skilled people can benefit hugely and more than high-skilled university graduates by using GPT to, for example, summarize literature on a certain topic, to write a coherent document, to do medical analysis, to write legal briefs, maybe even fly planes. All this without needing a university degree. And that, in turn, may help to reduce the level of income and wealth inequality, the degree of political polarization, may help to make democratic institutions work better to reverse what has been called the democratic recession that's going on, especially in the Western world. But by the same token, the expertise of university graduates may be devalued over time, and they, that is to say you, may lose some of your income and work advantages relative to the rest of the population, and you may well not like that. But remember, as you go forward, the society may become more harmonious if there is a stronger middle class and less income and job polarization than at present. So that's the potential good news. However, one final point. When the engineering difficulties of deploying quantum computing at scale have been solved, and they surely will be solved, then the harnessing of unlimited processing power from quantum computing to more efficient learning algorithms might well cause even more job displacement than we are seeing now, both in routine and non-routine jobs. And this combination of quantum computing and AI may well constitute Geoffrey Hinton's existential threat to human civilization and to the biosphere. So AI plus quantum computing is potential mega bad news, and it poses an acute problem of how we are going to govern this combination of AI and quantum computing. Let me end by repeating Churchill's three-word speech by way of inspiration: never give in. And let me end by urging you to read this excellent book by Max Harris called The New Zealand Project, which follows up some of the themes that the Chancellor was very eloquently, passionately addressing just now. Thank you.